Buckle up, everyone, because today we're going deep on the 2024 U.S. presidential election.
Oh, yeah.
You guys sent in a mountain of articles and polls and opinion pieces.
For all kinds of stuff.
You really want to get to the bottom of this thing, and I get it.
It's a big one.
This is shaping up to be a historic election.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've got a rematch on our hands.
A real clash of the titans.
Incumbent Vice President Kamala Harris versus former President Donald Trump.
It really is fascinating.
So let's break down the candidates, starting with Kamala Harris.
Good.
She's already shattered that glass ceiling as the first female Black and South Asian vice president.
A lot of firsts there.
And now she's aiming to be the first female president.
That's right.
And her background as a prosecutor, you know, first is the San Francisco District Attorney,
Yeah.
then as California Attorney General.
Right.
Plus her time in the Senate, where she was known for grilling people in those hearings.
Oh, yeah. She's tough.
It all makes her a very formidable candidate.
Definitely a force to be reckoned with.
And you can see that experience in how she runs her campaign.
Absolutely.
It's polished, it's professional. She really gets into the nitty-gritty of policy.
Very policy focused.
So she's definitely trying to connect with voters who want a leader who's on top of the issues.
Exactly.
But here's the thing I keep wondering, and tell me what you think.
Okay.
Does all that policy stuff really land with voters these days?
That's a good question.
It seems like people's attention spans are,
Getting shorter.
yeah. And so much of what we see is just these quick sound bites.
And not the full picture.
Exactly. And you know who's a master of those sound bites?
Let me guess.
Donald Trump.
I was going to say.
He is back,
Back for round 2.
looking to reclaim the presidency after his term from 2016 to 2020.
That's right.
And he is not shying away from the spotlight.
Not at all.
He's all over social media.
Especially X.
Do you know the one that used to be called Twitter?
Yeah, still getting used to that.
I know, me too. And he's rallying his base.
Same. America First message.
Just like in 2016.
Yeah. But here's a curveball for you.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Donald Trump,
Yeah.
the candidate you least expect to be on TikTok,
Really?
is going all in on TikTok.
Wow.
He's using those short videos and catchy sounds to push his message.
So he's trying to connect with a younger audience.
Yeah, those who might not be watching his rallies or press conferences.
Interesting strategy.
It's definitely a surprise.
For sure.
You wouldn't normally think of a candidate who appeals to an older demographic
Right.
to be using a platform like TikTok.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
But maybe he's onto something.
Would be.
It's really interesting how these two candidates are going about trying to win over voters.
It is.
But we can't lose sight of the bigger picture here.
Absolutely not.
What is really at stake in this election?
Well, this is about so much more than just who sits in the Oval Office.
Right.
This is a battle for the heart of America.
Wow.
A clash of ideas on things that will affect the country's future for generations to come.
So based on everything you send us...
The big issues are climate change, healthcare,
Of course.
student loans,
Yeah.
immigration,
Big one.
and naturally, the economy.
Naturally.
And these aren't just talking points.
Yep.
These are things that touch every American's life,
Especially Gen Z.
especially you, listener.
You're the ones who are facing these issues head on.
And you have a perspective that's shaped by the world you've grown up in.
It's a different world.
It is. So it's crucial to look at how each candidate's policies could affect these issues.
For sure.
For instance, with climate change.
Yeah.
Harris says she'll continue what the current administration is doing,
Okay.
which means big goals for cutting emissions
Right.
and investing in renewable energy.
Okay.
Whereas Trump seems to be leaning toward a less hands-on approach. He talks a lot about deregulation.
Less government intervention.
Right, and energy independence.
So basically he's saying he trusts the market to sort it out.
And some experts are saying that could actually slow down progress on fighting climate change. It's interesting.
That's just one example. But you see similar differences in their approaches to healthcare, immigration, and the economy.
Totally.
I mean, this election really comes down to two very different visions for America's future.
It does.
And it's up to the voters to decide which path they want to take.
That's the beauty of democracy.
That's right.
The power is in the people's hands.
Exactly.
And we can't forget about the Gen Z vote.
Oh, yeah, they're a big part of this.
Huge.
You, our listener, you're part of a generation that's seen the world change in ways that older generations haven't.
Absolutely.
And the candidates know they need to reach you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What's so interesting about Gen Z, though,
Yeah.
is that they don't really fit neatly into those old political boxes.
The traditional category.
Right. They're more
He's
independent.
more focused on the issue.
Not so much about party lines
Exactly.
and those issues like climate change, student loan debt,
Yep.
social justice,
Right.
digital rights.
It's ones. Those really hit home for Gen Z, don't they?
I think so.
So, listener, tell me what issues are at the top of your list this time around. What matters most to you?
It's your future.
Exactly. So, we see Harris really focusing on things like student loan forgiveness,
Yeah.
climate initiatives,
Yeah.
policies that directly address concerns we hear from a lot of Gen Z voters.
She's trying to show that she gets it.
Yeah, that she understands their struggles.
And that she has solutions.
But don't forget, Trump's got his own game plan.
Oh, he always does.
He might have a lock on those older voters.
Yeah, his base.
But remember that TikTok thing we talked about?
Yeah. What about it?
That's him going straight for the younger crowd
Trying to shake that out-of-touch label?
and showing he's still relevant.
Interesting.
So we've got Harris running this polished, policy-heavy campaign,
Yeah, very professional.
almost like an extension of her role as vice president.
Makes sense.
It's all about experience and competence.
Okay.
While Trump's tapping into that outsider energy that got him elected in 2016.
I remember those rallies.
Yeah, he's back to those huge rallies firing up his supporters.
Seems to be working.
And his new slogan, "Let's take back our country."
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
It's all about channeling this sense of grievance and nostalgia
Nostalgia?
for a simpler time, maybe?
Maybe.
But speaking of campaigns,
Yeah.
we got to talk about those polls.
Oh, boy.
It's a wild ride.
Up and down.
1 minute Harris is ahead.
Okay.
Trump's closing the gap.
It's crazy.
It's a good reminder that those polls are just snapshots.
Yeah, just a moment in time.
They can be affected by so many things.
The news cycle.
Yeah, what questions they ask.
All sorts of stuff.
And like we saw in 2016,
Oh, yeah.
never underestimate Donald Trump.
Never.
So even though Harris might be leading in some polls,
Okay.
it's not a done deal.
Far from it.
It's hard to predict how people will vote.
That's for sure.
And we've got a long way to go until November.
A lot can happen.
It's going to be a nail-biter.
Oh, yeah.
And let's face it, no election would be complete without a little drama.
Oh, there's always drama.
We've already seen some fireworks online, some heated interviews,
Yeah.
and those debates,
Don't even get me started.
they did not disappoint.
It's like a reality show,
I know, right?
but with really high stakes.
It is like a reality show.
The future of the country is on the line.
Exactly, and with the news running 24/7,
And social media blowing everything up.
it can feel like a whirlwind.
So much information.
So much noise.
It's hard to keep up.
Which is why it's so important to stay informed.
To really dig deep.
Look beyond the headlines and the sound bites.
And really understand the issues.
Because this isn't just a spectator sport.
You're part of it.
Listener, your vote is your voice.
And it matters.
It has the power to shape the future.
For everyone.
Not just for you, but for generations to come. We've talked about a lot.
We have?
The candidates, their strategies, the big issues.
That's crazy polls.
But there's one thing I keep thinking about.
Oh. What's that?
Gen Z inheriting all of this, you know?
What do you mean?
The decisions we make now, they'll have to live with the consequences.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's like this election isn't just about the next 4 years.
It's about the future.
Yeah, it's about setting the course for the next few decades.
Absolutely. It's a defining moment.
And talk about pressure.
I know, right?
It feels like we're creating this time capsule.
Snapshot of America.
Exactly, but instead of burying it, we're broadcasting it to the whole world.
And Gen Z, they're the ones who'll be opening it up later.
And trying to make sense of it all.
And that's what I find so fascinating.
Where's that?
This election could be a turning point for how Gen Z gets involved in politics.
Do you think so?
I do. It's a chance for them to step up
Make their voices heard.
and demand the future they want.
Because let's be real,
Okay.
they're the ones who will be dealing with the fallout from the decisions we're making now.
Right. Whether it's climate change,
Or a political system that feels more divided than ever.
it's a lot to handle.
It is. So here's a final thought for you, listener.
Okay, I'm listening.
No matter who wins this election, how do you think it will change things for future generations? Will it inspire Gen Z to become more active and demand change?
Or will it just make those divides even deeper?
Those are some tough questions.
They are.
But that's what we do here on The Deep Dive.
We dive deep.
We unpack the complicated stuff.
We're stuff that matters.
And in this case, we're talking about the future.
Your future listener.
We wanted to give you the information you need to navigate this moment.
Because when people are informed,
They can make better choices.
and that's how we build a stronger democracy.
So stay curious, stay engaged, and most importantly, make your voice heard.
Your vote, your voice, your future.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the 2024 U.S. presidential election.